Good afternoon, Barcelona. How are you guys doing today? My name is Gokul Satyakama. I'm responsible for the unstructured storage business. And today, yesterday, we launched the HPE Storage Electra MP X10000, right? And today, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but mostly around the market and what we are seeing as the opportunity for this product and how we can help you. And first and foremost, some of these forward-looking statements, right? We will change them if we need to, but we will ensure to keep it on track from a roadmap perspective. So let's talk about AI. If you're in retail, if you're in financial services, if you're in manufacturing, 1 out of every 3 customers are into AI. If you're not doing AI, then you got to ask yourselves, do you want to be competitive in the market? If you're in government, if you're in transportation, 1 out of every 10 customers are doing AI. So ask yourselves, if you're a partner, is my customer doing AI? Are you doing AI? If not, my competitors are doing AI. And that's an opportunity that you are losing to be in the forefront of your industry. But what is AI? AI is all about real-time data that you're collecting, and you're getting intelligence from that environment. It started developing itself when ChatGPT came about 2 years ago. But we've been doing analysis of data for eons. But fundamentally, what we've been doing as batch processes is now real time. And that's the difference between analytics and AI. But regardless of what you're trying to do, analytics, AI, the key to all this is data. You can have a lot of different GPUs, CPU, any type of compute environment. But if you don't have the correct data, if you're not driving towards an outcome, you've lost the opportunity. So data is key. When you're talking about data, 3.5 exabytes of data was stored every single day in 2023. Analysts say that 80% of data will be unstructured by 2025. 90% of data will be unstructured, customer data will be unstructured by 2027. How are you storing this data? For our partners, how are customers storing this data? How are they retrieving that data? How are they enhancing that data? How are they driving towards outcomes and intelligence? 76%, and this is not a data that I pulled together, 76% by the analysts say that data management is a problem. And if you go back 10, 15 years, when you talk about how infrastructures were built, it was all about storing data. But then, fast forward to what we have now, it's all about storing data and taking advantage of that data to drive intelligence, to drive outcomes, to drive value for your business. Creating value. That's the essence of what data can do for you. And if I look a step closer in terms of the infrastructure that was deployed 10, 15 years ago, you had a block storage solution. And on top of a block storage solution, you might have a file system. You may have some sort of an application file environment that was storing the data on block devices. But in order to protect the data, in order to do analysis of the data, what did you do? You move that data to another storage system, a secondary storage system. Let's take an example of an Oracle environment, Oracle database. You stored it on block, but in order to do business intelligence, you moved it to a data warehousing solution, right? But when you talk about the data that is being collected, the unstructured data, not only are you storing this in raw format, but you're also taking that data and adding intelligence or using it in the context and storing it in the form of Parquet, JSON, and other formats. And you're doing analytics, you're doing AI ML. You may push this into an in-memory database. So all these types of environments need to run on a single platform. Because guess what? If 80 or 90% of your data is unstructured, and if you have a petabyte of data, moving that data becomes very, very, very difficult. And that's one of the reasons performance is important. But when you look at all the environments out there, all the different products, one size does not fit all. Some customers care about performance. Some care about capacity. Others care about resiliency. Some don't care about resiliency. Efficiency is important to some. Because if you're storing data in an all-flash solution, it's more expensive than rotating media. And if it's more expensive, customers do want to have the ability to reduce the total cost of ownership. And that's why the requirements for every single storage solution is different. But fundamentally, when you think about all these aspects, all these requirements imposed by the applications or even customer requirements, there are three fundamental things that need to change in a storage solution. One, performance. Performance is going to be key to store, retrieve, and modify and accelerate intelligence. Second, scale. 3.5 exabytes, not megabytes, not gigabytes, not terabytes, but exabytes per day. And how many of you are thinking, I don't have that much of data in my data center, right? You may have less than a petabyte in some cases, in many of your cases, but there are customers that are talking about exabyte scale storage solutions. So massive scale is important. And finally, when you have all this data, imagine the management infrastructure and the people to manage these solutions. How many people do you need to manage this infrastructure that's massive? That's why if you put it on a cloud solution, it's easy. Somebody else's management problem, right? Well, that's what we've tried to do in terms of giving you a cloud operational model. So, with these three things in mind, we created an architecture, fundamental architecture, in terms of how we want to deliver this. First and foremost, a disaggregated hardware environment. Why? Now we can add compute independent of capacity and scale depending on what your requirements are. Do you want to scale performance? Or if your vector is towards capacity, we are able to independently scale those solutions, that solution. And you can mix and match different types of compute and/or capacity depending on what storage environment you want to create. So fundamentally, that is core for how we are building systems, whether it's in block storage, file storage, or object storage. Secondarily, the cloud management plane from the GreenLake platform, giving you simplicity of operation, whether you're managing infrastructure in a core data center, a co-location data center, and so on. If you have tens of data centers that you want to manage, you're able to do this with a single pane of glass. And so, based on these principles, in April 2023, we delivered 2 products. One to address block storage, and the other to address file storage, based on the same principles that we have: a common disaggregated hardware and a cloud management plane. And yesterday, we announced the HPE Alletra Storage MP X10000 to address the object workloads. And Antonio, at his speech yesterday, mentioned that our performance is fabulous. He mentioned 6x. 6x performance compared to some of our competitors. And that is critical in terms of accelerating storage, accelerating data for your analytics or AI applications. Then right-sizing a storage solution in order to deliver capacity at the scale you need. Remember, I was talking about exabyte, but in some cases, you're talking about terabytes. Yes, we can fit we can fit your data in our storage solutions too. And that simplicity of operations, you should definitely think about how you can do that. Because salaries are increasing, the number of people that you have as experts are decreasing, and you need to solve that simplicity of operations. And that's what we've done. Based on 3 customer requirements, we delivered the product with these 3 principles in mind. And I'm going to run this video to showcase how simple it is to manage this infrastructure before we have a customer come and talk to you about it.
And AI, unstructured data, and data-intensive workloads are at the heart of those changes. I'm excited to announce HPE's latest enterprise solution to unleash the power of your unstructured data, the HPE Alletra Storage MP X10000. As a technical marketing engineer at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, I know the challenges of data-intensive workloads and untapping the potential of your data. Managed from the Data Services Cloud Console, the DataOps Manager gives you a comprehensive management view of all your unstructured and structured data. And because this is an HPE GreenLake Cloud offering, you get the cloud management experience while all the benefits of on-prem performance and security. From DSCC, you can create, access, and manage S3 buckets on the X10000. The Object Storage Dashboard abstracts hardware and system-specific details, leaving you with a targeted look at just your object storage, showing you your most performance and capacity-intensive buckets. Creating a new S3 bucket with DSCC takes just a few clicks. The Creation Wizard assesses your available X10000 systems and recommends where your new bucket would best support your capacity needs. From DSCC, you can also create custom access policies with designated operational granularity to all buckets or for specific buckets. And finally, you can perform robust user management functions, including group creation and access policies for sets of users. This ensures secure, granular control over your data. If you're wanting to untap the potential of your unstructured data, let me encourage you to take a look at the new HPE Alletra Storage MP X10000.
All right, great. So good afternoon, Barcelona. And by the way, thank you, Lauren, for that. If you don't know, Lauren's in the audience today. So thank you, Lauren, for that great demo. Excellent. So my name is Ed Beauvais, I lead product management for unstructured data for HPE. With me today, we have one of our partners, Andameta, and we have Jeff Charpentier, who is a pre-sales architect, and he's been with Andameta for over 5 years. So what we thought we'd do is we'd share a little bit about the Andameta experience with the X10000. But before we do that, one of the things that's great about HPE and great about Andameta is that we've got strong partners that have been with us for a long time. Jeff, maybe you could share just a little bit about our partnership and what that means to you, and it's certainly a great partnership from HPE's perspective.
Yes, thank you, Ed. As you can see, Andameta has been created by Stéphane Blanc in 1995. So we are an IT service provider, and at the time we were a partner of DEC Equipment Corporation using VAX systems. Then DEC was bought by Compaq, and we were a partner of Compaq. Then HPE bought Compaq, you remember the story? And we've been a partner of HPE through all of these 30 years now. So yes, great and long partnership with HPE.
That's great. I mean, if you think about it, in the technology world today, if you've got a partnership of 4 years, that's like an eternity. 30 years is absolutely amazing. And one of the other things that the audience might not know, they might not be super familiar with Andameta, so what we wanted to do is just share just a little bit of a snapshot of, if you're not familiar, if you haven't heard of Andameta, maybe talk a little bit about what you do, what the business lines look like, and how you're helping your customers.
Yeah, so Andameta is an IT integrator, IT service provider. So we are 30 years old. We have about 1,000 customers, mainly in France, but also with deployments around the globe. Andameta has roughly 100 million revenue, and it's a team of more than 300 employees. So it gives you an idea of Andameta as a French leader in IT. We have some specifics, like for instance, data protection. You can see that we support and we manage, we give services and support to our customers for more than 20 petabytes of data under protection. So that's a massive customer base. Also, one last thing that is very important in the pillars of Andameta is sustainability. You have to know that Andameta planted more than 5,000 trees in a region of France. So Andameta has the usual business lines of an IT company. We are a value-added reseller, so integrating some HPE systems, all the lines of product. Also, we are a managed service provider. We propose different kind of services, like for instance, backup as a service or DRP as a service, and so on. And also, we are a cloud service provider providing sovereign cloud services in France and in Europe to meet regulations.
Awesome. Yeah, and so it sounds like there's lots of business lines. There's business in France and beyond, and you're really focused on, one, your customers, but also on sort of sustainability and green IT. So I think it's a great partnership. We really appreciate it, and those are some great use cases. So talk a little bit about innovation and the experience with the X10000. Give us a little bit of a sense of yet an opportunity to participate in our beta program. So what was that like?
Yes, in fact, one of the root also competencies of Andameta is developing innovative solutions. Even at the time of DEC, we were developing software drivers for the storage systems. It was already a partnership with the constructors at the time. So today we are still developing some solutions like Neostack, for instance, or Antemeta AI. So we are developing some ready-to-use applications for generative AI, for instance. And more, we go to what Google was saying, to real-time use of data.
Great. And so as part of looking at the X10000, we were able to get you, the product itself, and you started to do some testing. What was that like? When did you get it? Give us I think the audience is probably interested in hearing some of the details of the testing.
Yeah, it's not the first time that we do some tests with HPE, because we've been testing also some Alitra MP block and file and so on. And last summer, Olivier Tan from HPE in France called us and proposed us to run a test of this new HPE solution. So we said, yes, of course, we are interested because we have the use cases. We have some use case in data protection, because data protection is evolving at the moment. There are regulations around the world, like DORA in Europe, also NIS2, and our customers want to accelerate recovery.
I think like when they're backing up data, there's larger and larger data sets, right?
Yes, and you have to test your recovery and give assurance that you're able to recover your data and your services in a timely manner. So that's very important. That's a big use case for us, because we have this expertise in this area of data protection. Also, the second main use case is, I would say, data analytics, data lakes. You see what's going these days since ChatGPT was launched and all the new applications that are open to our customers.
So it's really trying to get that insight from unstructured data. We heard about the massive growth. Your customers, it sounds to me like they're also experiencing that growth. You're seeing that, and that the idea of being able to do some intelligence and looking at a data lake or running an AI inference is critical for those customers.
Yes. And what we see is that because of the way that this data is accessed by these new applications, there's more requirements of storage for it, because of the way that it's designed, vector databases and so on. Very usually for 1 terabyte of source data, you can have up to 10 terabytes of storage required to exploit this data in your AI applications.
Absolutely. It's just the tip of the iceberg. The actual supporting data for these models can be quite large, can be huge. Talk a little bit about some of the performance that you experienced, right? We've talked about, Gokul mentioned some great performance. Give us a sense of what you actually saw. What did it look like?
Yeah, so the first test that we've done was to have a functional result of the integration with some applications that we use for data protection, for instance. But then the second use case were, I would say, TensorFlow data classification, for instance. And we also wanted to validate the performance of the
what
solution.
We said, right? You wanted to see what we said, and you ran benchmarks?
Yes, we wanted to see what's inside the box. So we were quite amazed by the performance, because the system for the test was a small system. It had between 30 and 40 usable capacity, so quite a small system for this test. But on this system, we were able to reach 40 gigabits per second of write, so it means puts in terms of objects, and also 40 gigabits per second of read, it means get for objects, using only one server connected through a 40 gigabit link.
That's great. So we're talking about real performance density, right? So we talked about a 3-node system and one sort of JBOF or Flash
Yes.
capacity module. And so, I think that's a great example of what we're seeing in terms of gaining, massive performance. And we want to take that even farther. As you know, we're working with and partnering with NVIDIA to look at sort of RDMA technology. So I know we've talked a little bit about the beta test experience. And sometimes with betas, you want everything to go really, really well. But we know that things fail, right? So talk about that. Didn't you have a chance to experience a little bit of failure? Or at least we had some things that didn't work exactly as we planned. What was that like?
I would say it was business as usual, Ed, because we do maintenance for our customers. So we are used to failing parts and failures. So during our test, we had a failure of one Flash module among the 24. And HPE just shipped a module. We replaced it online. And everything went on as usual, no interruption, obviously, to the service. And what is interesting also in the DSCC console for management is that you can segregate the infrastructure management roles from the DevOps roles.
The workload management and infrastructure separate.
Yes, because someone that is a DevOps engineer and who provisions some S3 services, he does not want to cope with the hardware failures.
Exactly.
See what I mean?
Yeah, and so again, I think this is great evidence, right, that we've built a system. We think about the design and the architectural principles. We're really building it for enterprise-grade capabilities. We expect that components will fail, and we got what we expected. Usually, I don't like any kind of failures for beta customers, but in this case, it actually all worked out. So, last question. I know we've shared a little bit about this. Talk about the future. Talk about innovation. What does Anameta see? What are the challenges that your customers are trying to address? How can we partner together in the future? What are the top of mind items that you want to focus on?
Yes, one of the top of mind issues or priorities for our customers is developing a new solution based on AI and generative AI and so on in order to increase their competitiveness. So at Antemeta, we've developed a ready-to-use Antemeta AI solution, which includes computing capacity, but also storage capacity. And we can integrate the X10000 in this solution, but also we deliver a software solution ready to use so that customers can leverage these new technologies in a faster way.
Absolutely. Well, so Jeff, I want to thank you. Please thank Jeff for sharing his experience. I think he went into a lot of details here. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ed.
We're going to do a quick video that's going to talk about some use cases. Fair.
Hey there, IT pros. So, you've got a gold mine of data at your fingertips. The problem? Finding the gold. It's buried in a sea of scattered files, some here, some there, different formats, different systems. It's like trying to dig for treasure in a digital jungle. I get it, it's not as easy as it should be. But what if it could be? For decades, companies have hoarded data, thinking, one day this will be gold. Well, that day is now. With the rise of generative AI, now is the time to unlock the true power of that data. But here's the problem. Many infrastructure admins and data professionals are stuck working with outdated storage systems that are too slow and a nightmare to integrate with modern AI tools. Mining the value from all that data? It's a complex, time-consuming conundrum. That's where HPE can help. Break free from the limitations of outdated storage systems with the HPE Alletra Storage MPX 10000. You can finally escape the bottlenecks, seamlessly tap into your data, and unlock the power to drive game-changing innovations. Looking for a more effective way to manage your data? The HPE Alletra Storage MPX 10000 provides lightning-fast access, unparalleled scalability, and effortless management, allowing you to focus on what really matters. If you're an infrastructure pro, you're always on the lookout for systems that simplify your tasks, scale easily, and deliver high performance. This isn't just storage, it's storage that evolves with you. If you're a data professional, you're going to love the X10000 because it's going to enable you to access and analyze your data quickly and simply. By connecting seamlessly with AI Essentials, it simplifies the design, deployment, and monitoring of your AI applications, providing faster insights and fueling more informed, data-driven strategies. I encourage you to contact your HPE sales team and schedule a live demo today.
So are you ready to unlock your data? For our partners, are you ready to get your customers, your end users, to unlock data? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. So let's take a little bit take a deep investigation in terms of what the architecture looks like and some of the principles behind the design points. So fundamentally, it's a disaggregated architecture. In the back end, you have an NVMe fabric. NVMe fabric allows us to deliver low latency access between the controllers and the storage nodes. It allows us to maximize efficiency by being able to add components, as I mentioned before, to improve performance or capacity. And because it's a scale out and a scale up solution, you don't need to buy everything up front. It allows you to add the necessary components just in time. And part of our goal, and part of many of your goals, have always been in sustainability. Because this is a disaggregated architecture, it allows us to add new components, new hardware that we may support in future very, very quickly. We believe this is an immortal cluster. It's an eternal cluster because data has gravity and you have no time to move that data. Therefore, as new compute environments show up and you want to add them, we will add it to the cluster. Remember what Neil McDonald, if you had gone to the session, the keynote session yesterday, what he mentioned? Some of these older compute environments are hogs, power hogs. So as new technology emerges, as new hardware emerges, you want to be able to incorporate that. And this disaggregated hardware architecture allows us to do that, whether it's block or file or object. That's fundamentally important to us. And if you are a customer presently, you have sustainability dashboards built in to our GreenLake platform to see how much you are saving, how much you are helping the planet. One of the CEOs I used to work for mentioned this, right? Hardware is a bottle, software is a wine, if you're a wine connoisseur. But fundamentally, what is the secret sauce behind the software? Because we've built it as a software-defined storage solution, it can run on any different hardware environments. You can eventually run it in the cloud or even at the edge. It allows us to incorporate different hardware very, very quickly and allows us to bring compute closer to data. If you are familiar with the portfolio that HPE has, we have a portfolio of products including GPU servers. The XT670 has 8 GPUs in it. Imagine being able to run that environment on top of Electra MP X10000. That's how powerful this can be. So we have the platform, common platform services, similar to what we have on block storage. We have an erasure coding built in to provide that resiliency, that availability for that system. Remember, we built this product over 4 years. And the reason we wanted to build this product, we wanted to bring this product to market in the right way at the right time, is because enterprise customers need resiliency, need availability. And that was a focus of our, and fundamental focus of our product, enterprise capabilities. Then we created a namespace on top of it and added the protocol support on top of the namespace. Because it's an object storage solution, you have the ability, or we have the ability together to enhance every single object with metadata. Metadata that you can create and add as part of the system. If you want to, you can create companion objects in order to enrich the data. But it's essential to understand that as opposed to a file solution or even a block solution, object storage has better capabilities of storing enriched information and context about the data. Because as massive as your data gets, if you don't have context, how are you going to retrieve it? How are you going to use it? Imagine this for a second. Every single person takes pictures, and during this presentation, you would have taken a picture or a video or whatever it is. And sometimes you're like, okay, how do I get information or context about the images I store? If you've taken pictures over the last few years, and you want to get to a particular image that was taken at the base of Eiffel Tower, how do you do it? Right? There's no intelligence on your phone, but if you had put it into AWS or if you put it into Google Photos, you probably can search for it. That's what an object storage solution can give you. The ability to enrich data and store that enriched data information along with the data. And Lauren showcased the power of our management plane. Simple operations. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have a PhD in managing this infrastructure. It's very intuitive. If you have worked with our block storage solution, if you work with our file storage solution, it's as simple as operating another storage solution from HPE. And this cloud operational model, as we get new customers landing on this, and as we get telemetry data from our customers, it enables us to improve the experience. We can figure out what workflows are being used consistently and constantly, and figure out ways to improve those workflows. That's the power of your cloud-connected storage solution. But fundamentally, it also means that we need to provide data security and data protection of the solution. You don't want to lose the valuable data you've collected. Therefore, we provide data protection like erasure coding. So these are important elements that we built in as part of the product. So to sum it up, we built a product that can deliver performance, that can deliver scale, that can deliver simplicity of operations, and purpose-built to accelerate your application environments, especially when it comes to fast restore, data lake environments, or AI ML applications. One solution to accelerate and get intelligence from your data. That's our goal. And that's our focus in delivering this product to you. But that's not all. Ed mentioned that we have been partnering with NVIDIA to accelerate the performance even further. Remember what I said before about 6x performance? Already with the current infrastructure, we will go beyond 6x performance when we deliver this in the summer timeframe. We've been working with NVIDIA for quite some time now, focusing on delivering fast access between the GPU, the system memory, and storage. Very, very critical to drive AI applications. And this technology does not need to be with just NVIDIA. This can be applicable to different compute environments, including CPUs from Intel or AMD, or even ARM. So thank you again for attending this session. I hope you got something valuable out of this. Thank you for Antemeta for being a partner with us for 30+ years, right? Ed, thank you for being here and interviewing Antemeta with us. Appreciate all the efforts. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be around. Please come and talk to me. And Ed, thank you.